Recently, I was having a conversation with one of my friends about confidence, and I told him that I kind of think you have to sort of earn confidence because it doesn't just come as like, oh, I'm just randomly confident. You have to do something to get it. And when I have to think back to a period when I really wasn't confident, I would think back to when I was 14, and let's see what it looked like when I was 14. I was overweight. I didn't look good. I had weird hair and weird style and all that. I didn't really have friends. I didn't really have any close friends. I had a couple of people that I talked with, but they weren't really close friends to me. Girls, of course, didn't like me. And also, I wasn't really doing anything with my life. I wasn't doing anything meaningful with my life at all. I was always just playing like computer games and watching TV shows and anime. And the only places where I actually achieved something were places that I didn't care about at all. I did pretty well in school, but I never really cared about school. And you know, I got complimented on those achievements all the time by my parents and all of that, and I never really gave a shit about it. And you know, now thinking back at it, of course I wasn't confident. I had literally nothing to be confident about, but I'm pretty confident now, and a lot of things have changed, and I think that is one of the reasons why. Because if you just look at what my life looks like right now, I look much better. Obviously, I dress better, everything is just better. I built a pretty nice physique. Obviously, it's not like anything crazy, but it's a pretty good physique, and especially when it comes to the average person, like, it's obviously way better than that. When it comes to friends, I still kind of struggle a little bit with that, but I am much better with that as well. I don't really have problems with girls liking me anymore, and I'm working towards a goal every single day. You know, every day that I live, I am always doing something that I think is meaningful personally, and I am always moving somewhere. I'm not staying in one place. I'm not just randomly like living my life like a lot of people do. I am trying to go somewhere. And thinking back at it, I also achieved a lot of shit since then, obviously. I learned 2 languages by myself, so I didn't really have any help. I moved countries, and also since moving countries, I leveled up so much. Literally, when I came here, I had 0 connections. I didn't know anybody. I started out with living in a room with, I wasn't living together with the guy in the room, but I was renting a room from an alcoholic Polish guy who would come home at fucking 2 a.m. and start cooking and wake me up with that shit every single time. I was working as a cleaner for a boss who not only didn't pay fucking overtime, but she also changed the shift plan like 3 times a week. And literally, we didn't even have a fucking Facebook group, so we literally had a shift plan just hanging on the wall. And for an example, if I was working on Monday, but I wasn't working on Tuesday, and I was supposed to work on Wednesday, I wasn't working on Tuesday, right? She maybe changed the shift plan on Tuesday, and if I didn't go into the fucking place to see it, then I wouldn't know about it. So I would go on Wednesday and, oh no, actually you don't have to work today, we changed the shift plan. Okay, how the fuck was I supposed to know? So this is what I started out with. I am pretty good now. Like, I have an apartment. Obviously it's not my apartment, but it's a pretty good one. I don't live with a random alcoholic Polish guy. I have a pretty good job, very nice boss. I have absolutely no problems. I don't even wake up to an alarm clock anymore usually. Sometimes I still have to because I open once a week, so that means I will have to wake up at 5. But on all of the other days, I don't use an alarm clock. I just go to bed at the same time every single day. Throughout the years, I've also had a couple of relationships. Some of them were amazing, some of them were not so much. And in general, I just enjoy life. When I was 14, I didn't really enjoy life that much. I was coming home every day like, this day fucking sucked again, just like yesterday, and tomorrow is probably gonna be the same. But now I don't have that anymore. I really enjoy my life, and I feel pretty confident now, and I think that I have worked for that confidence. Now let's take an example. Joe is 30 years old. He has no wife, no kids, no car, no house. He fucking dropped out of school, working at a gas station for the minimum wage, hates his life, does nothing at all. He is also overweight and fucking ugly. He dresses like a weirdo. He's absolutely unhygienic and everything you can imagine. And all he does when he's not working is just play random video games. Do you think Joe is confident? Obviously not. Like, there's no wonder why. Would you think just for a second about, oh wait, why is Joe not confident? No, It's so fucking self-explanatory. Of course he's not gonna be confident because his life is a shit. Everything is a shit around him. Why would a guy like that be confident, honestly? So what you see here is you gotta earn that shit. It doesn't just come randomly. And if this guy would start to tell you shit like, there's this random hard language, I bet I could easily learn that, or I bet I can easily learn to play the guitar in a couple of years really well, or I bet that if I go to that girl and I ask her out, she's probably gonna say yes if she doesn't have a boyfriend. You would be like, bro, get the fuck out of here. You're not actually thinking that shit, because this guy has never done anything hard in his life, failed at fucking everything. And so as you see, confidence has to come from somewhere. If it doesn't come from anywhere, then it's not really confidence, it's more like arrogance. Let's say that I say that, oh, there's that instrument, for an example, there's the guitar, I bet that I can learn that pretty well in a couple of years. That is confidence, in my opinion at least, because I've already done a bunch of hard shit. Like, I've learned a couple of languages, I've learned a couple of skills that other people haven't learned, that are hard, that are tough to learn. I built a pretty good physique, that was also tough to do. So, you know, I've already did a couple of things. But if you haven't done anything in your life, you cannot be like, oh, I'm easily gonna do that, because it's gonna sound like you're fucking, like you think so much of yourself because you haven't done anything yet. But if you've already proved to yourself that, yeah, you can do hard shit, then it's gonna be confidence. Now, with all of that said, there are a bunch of people who have achieved a lot of things in life and who are doing pretty well, and they're still not confident. You know, that's a different problem, and I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But what I'm talking about is, if you don't have any of that, if you haven't done anything yet, if you're living your life on autopilot and you're not doing anything, of course you're not gonna be fucking confident. Why the hell would you be? Now, also a way to get more confident, and nobody is ever going to tell you this, because people are like, oh, don't seek validation from others and blah blah blah. The best way, in my opinion, to gain confidence is to have other people compliment you. Period. And I don't give a shit what anybody else says about, oh no, you shouldn't seek validation from others. Yeah, like, yeah, obviously I agree, you shouldn't do that. But I'm just saying that that really gives kind of a confidence boost when it comes from an area that you care about and that you have worked on. If you think about it, others don't give a shit about you at all. And also, most people in this age are way too socially anxious to even give a compliment to somebody. So if somebody actually compliments you on something that you have achieved, you actually did something because you got so good that they noticed it. And that is not that easy to do. So if you get so good that other people start noticing it, you're probably gonna gain some confidence. And also, again, obviously, do not seek validation from others. Do not do certain things just because you know that some people are gonna compliment you for that. No, the point is, you need to do something that you think is valuable. You need to do something that is valuable to yourself. You just do your own thing, and you get so good at it that somebody else notices it and says like, wait, you're actually pretty good at this. Another thing is, often you just don't realize where you stand as something until somebody tells you, because you just simply don't have a reference point. So a really good story that I have, for an example, is I never really used to know where I stood in terms of like attractiveness until I got this one girlfriend who was like, you know, really obsessed with me. And she would tell me all the time like, oh my god, you're so handsome and all of that, and she would point out when other people would like look at me or something. I gained a lot of confidence from that, because before that I had no idea where the fuck I was. Another thing is, when I was learning language, so I was already learning the language for around like a year or something, and I was already pretty good at it. I was mostly fluent, but obviously I wasn't like super good or anything, because I never talked with a person, and I was especially shitty when it came to talking. And then I started having a teacher only once every 2 weeks actually, because I was too broke to afford it more often, because it was so expensive, because the teacher was living here and I was living in a pretty poor country, and I also only had the teacher for like what, half a year. We barely had any classes literally. And once I remember that in pretty much the beginning, he told me that I was speaking like unexpectedly well. And I was like, really? Because I didn't know it before. I had no idea where I was standing. and him complimenting me felt really good. And I also had the same experience after that when I already moved out, and I've already been living among natives for like a year. And this one friend of mine who, you know, I actually talked with this person a little bit more than the normal person, and we got into topics that I couldn't really talk about as well, I guess, because, you know, very often you have conversations, especially when you're working like customer service jobs, that you can do pretty easily because you do them like 500 times a day. So for an example, saying like, hey, thank you, this cost this much, it's so fucking easy. But when it comes to talking about politics, or I don't know, more like emotional subjects or all that, you get a little bit like laggy or something. And then this person thought that I was talking really well, and I was like, really, like, thank you. And that really boosted my confidence in terms of where I was at speaking this language, because I was like, I didn't know where I was standing before. So this feels really good, and now I feel a lot more confident to talk. So what you have learned today is it's perfectly fine to not be confident if you haven't achieved anything in your life yet. Get better, and you will also get probably more confident, and also get so good that other people notice you. And click here to watch my last video.